Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. It is scorching in Long Beach.
It's warm. This reminded me of when I used to have an office in Tampa. It was sunny, and it was raining, and it was still kind of warm. So, humid.
It reminds me of like Utah weather, where it'll be 95 degrees, thunderstorms, but it's like the air is dry, but it's raining, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like Tampa's like muggy. It's like, all right, this is a desert, but the air is wet with rain, not wet with mug. It's kind of like Long Beach. And that's our meteorologist.
Yeah, for the day.
Show. Yeah, that's our segment right there. All right, question of the day. A little change of pace, something different. Mad Maxx Crosby, pretty active in social media, especially when like a UFC is on. But he went with a little hot take. Not that hot. I think a lot of people are on board with it. Maxx Crosby tweeted out on Saturday, "The Sopranos is the greatest show of all time." That's it. End of the tweet. No context, no explanation. Not, I need to defend it. I'm Maxx fucking Crosby. This is what I say is the best show of all time.
I'm going to just drop this right here, and you guys discuss.
And what are you going to do about it? Right? What?
Pretty
Some
much.
kind of opposing NFL quarterback is going to come in and like argue against my statement? Yeah.
Get his head knocked off.
I'll put you in a coma. So our question of the day, a little simple one. What is the greatest show of all time? Sopranos, I think any rational person would put the Sopranos in that discussion. I'm rewatching. I'm literally on the last season of Sopranos, rewatching it for the 6th or 7th time. It's a 20. It debuted at what, 99?
99.
23-year-old show. Mwah, still awesome. It's still weird to me how like they don't really have cell phones at the beginning because it's been so long. And yet, but it's such a well-made show that if it aired right now, it'd be a hit.
For sure. It just because the story about the environment doesn't change with time. You know, it's like the stereotype that we have of people in the mob or mafia or whatever. It's the same. It's the same stereotype that it hasn't changed.
So that's our question of the day. What is the greatest show of all time? And we're going to pin it in the comment section. Let us know down there. No wrong answers. Well, there is wrong answers. If you say like Glee or something, or Real Housewives of anything. I'd say the best written show of all time, and I will die on this hill, is The Wire.
Yeah, I think The Wire.
It's so like I'll have the argument, is it the best? Like we have a back and forth. Is it the best show of all time? But the best written show of all time, how each season was its own little like specific thing, like the drug trade and union and then the education. And then like the characters seamlessly transition through all 5 of those segments, like the same characters, except for ones, that die. Seamlessly transition.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, isn't so sad when
it's older than Sopranos, I think.
Right?
Well, the thing is like the reason why they had to do it is because The Wire was one of their first big shows because HBO really didn't do a lot of TV shows. It was one of the main ones, one of the first ones, excuse me. So they didn't renew like in the middle of season 1 for season 2. They waited till after season 1. So like every single season was like, okay, well, we got to start from scratch because we kind of ended everything from the last season. But
they did it though. It seamlessly transitioned, but they had a different theme. Like
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
The end of each season had its cliffhanger, right?
Yeah,
like
they had to switch it up, but a lot of the themes were tightened up. And there was, the 1 or 2 central themes that were scrolled across all the seasons. So The Wire is really good. Breaking Bad is really good.
Breaking Bad could be up. Yeah, that's in my top like 5.
Yeah,
sure.
Breaking Bad is really good
for all the same reasons.
Yeah,
the acting in Breaking Bad, I think, blows all the other ones away. Like that.
Because in The Wire, you see that progression, that arc every season. You see that arc of the perspective. But the arc that you see of in Breaking Bad, it's like if you're watching like I'm just watching Breaking Bad, and then like an episode comes on of like season 1 or 2, and you're like, whoa, yeah, he's really different now than he was in this season. Like, you see that arc of how he progresses from like a hapless criminal to like a freaking badass.
Think of Walter White in season 1 episode Heisenberg in season 1 episode 1. And then at the end of the second to last season, when you're like, oh, he just poisoned that little boy just to make a point and get what he wants. You're like, wow.
Bro, it's like
That's an arc.
he was getting punked by Uncle Hank, and then he killed Uncle Hank, or he had him killed, you know.
And that's what I'm saying is like, if you go from
like
episode
1 to like
if you go from episode 1 to episode 232, you're like, Jesus, that's crazy. But it doesn't feel like that because he transitions over time.
It's such a slow transition to where
burn.
You see little bits of him changing, and then to when he's at the end, it's like he's fell off the deep end.
I'm glad Jesse never changed. He was always the same guy.
Oh yeah, always the same shit, dick. Yeah.
How about comedies?
Prime
Simpsons. Seasons like 3 to 14.
Well, I mean, The Simpsons is on a class of his own because it's not really acting. Like because they can do a lot of different things with the animation that's not like true acting, but it's still very good. Comedies.
Simpsons was groundbreaking though.
It was because it was adult. It was adult, and it wasn't trying to be for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you watch back some like Bugs Bunny cartoons. You're like, well, that's a kind of an adult joke.
Yeah,
it wasn't like that.
When was the last time you seen like a 1950s like Warner Brothers cartoon where they're literally like shooting people in the face?
Fucking shit, man. Some
racist shit. Pepe Le Pew's like just trying to rape everybody. And everyone's like, oh, that's hilarious. That skunk is trying to mount that rabbit. Oh, that's so funny.
He's trying to fuck that cat bitch. Like, and he's not taking no for an answer.
The cat's clearly fighting, and he's just like trying to get those panties off from a.
You gotta take it. You gotta take the booty like Pepe and Kobe. Let's see, comedies that I really liked.
Game of Thrones in that conversation, greatest.
I couldn't get into it.
It's too epic. That's the thing. They had like the last like couple seasons. Each episode almost had like movie level budgets. Like, all right,
and it's like I couldn't
$10 million budget for like season 6, episode 4.
Everyone told me just get through the first half of the first season and you'll be hooked. And I was like, dude, this is I don't have a lot of time. I don't watch a lot of TV, but everybody's talking about this shit. So let me just try. And I just like every episode, I hated it more and more. I'm like, this is just trash.
What is wrong with you?
No, I mean, I don't give a fuck. Hey, anyone listening, anyone watching right now, whatever, fuck you. I don't care. I didn't like Game of Thrones, and that's that.
Well, you also don't like Derek Carr, so I guess that explains everything.
I never said that.
I'm glad we got that out in the open.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but no, that's not true. I don't know. Comedies. I mean, not to sound like a total freaking geek or anything, but Everyone Loves Raymond was freaking hilarious. I can watch that shit now. I can watch that shit right now.
You can't see. This is the thing. You can't name a single sitcom unless you say "I Love Lucy," because it literally wrote the script for sitcoms that hasn't changed in 70 years. You got the couple, and they're in their apartment, and they have the neighbor, and they get in these funny altercations, and they have one-liners, and there's all these misunderstandings, right? Like that's literally every single sitcom for the last 70 years. Like I Love Lucy, like you can laugh. I Love Lucy stands up to this day. It was all done live. It was live television. And it's still funny. And it's every sitcom's
that's probably the whitest thing I've ever heard you say ever.
Did you not hear me say, can I get some beef Wellington when I board this plane, please?
Jesus. What else? I really love that 70s show. I fucking watched that shit religiously.
Also, copied I Love Lucy.
There was so many teenagers, angst, losing your virginity, messing with your dad, like, getting yelled at by your dad all the time, and, handling freaking,
I Love Lucy. Ricky and Lucy they had separate beds.
I know, right? I'm like, dude,
it was considered super controversial when Lucy was like visibly pregnant. Like that was like really controversial in like 56 or whenever that was.
Yeah, it's groundbreaking. Oh my God, Arnie, you're totally right.
Like, whoa, this chick's breeding? That's crazy.
How did that happen? Wait a second, that's a whole other conversation.
How am I supposed to explain my kids this?
Inside of her?
Ricardo's got some shitty pullout game.
God, his Jenga game is soft.
So what is the greatest show of all time? Maxx Crosby says Sopranos. Hard to argue. I dare you to argue.
Hard to argue.
Leave it down in the comment section. We'll have it pinned. Greatest show of all time.
Please talk shit on RJ's I Love Lucy fucking rant.
I dare you. Like, what part of my I Love Lucy rant is wrong? Groundbreaking, set the stage, set the template. Everyone copies it, still holds up. Unbelievable they were able to do all those. Like, once you rewatch it, you'll see once every 20 episodes, like a schlub, like someone will like semi forget their line or like go in the wrong place. You forget, oh yeah, this was live. Every single episode. You didn't get 12 takes like your precious Everybody Loves Raymond.
I never said it was the best. I said I liked it.
Yeah, because they kicked your ass and you understood what was that.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Ndamukong Suh, hot Raiders topic the last few days.
Right? Getting hotter and getting hotter.
So it's so hot in here, right? So it was talked about a little bit before he went on NFL Live and before he tweeted, right? So it was like, rumored,
yeah.
Still a free agent. How would he do in Patrick Graham's defense? Obviously our ends are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And even our interior defensive tackles, Jonathan Hankins, I think is great. I mean, he's maybe not great, but like really good. Glad we have him. He'll be a starter.
He's good.
Improvable. And then Ndamukong Suh went on NFL Live and just threw gasoline on the Ndamukong Suh to the Raiders fire.
Ndamukong, how about the Raiders? $20 million in cap space right now. Rebuilt offense to compete in the AFC West. You love that tax situation. An interior defensive line, to me, jumps out as a real need on this team because, of course, you got Maxx Crosby and Chandler Jones on the outside. What do you think?
I like it, to be honest with you. Chandler Jones and Maxx Crosby, I was exchanging messages with him the other day. It's an interesting opportunity for sure. We'll see where it kind of ends up, but it could be that NFC West is strong. I mean, the AFC West is very, very tough, which should be fun. You get out of that, you're almost destined to get to the Super Bowl.
So I did almost an hour on Ndamukong Suh yesterday on my live chat. We have yet to even discuss it. I don't think we've said Ndamukong Suh to each other once yet. So he did that and then tweeted this. Schefter basically just talked about that clip we just saw, and Ndamukong Suh subtweeted, Raiders could be, what's he going to say next? Fun. Mm-hmm. Soto, what say you?
I think it's lining up. I think it's lining up for it to be a very strong possibility. Mm-hmm. There does have to be, I think, if we know anything of Ndamukong Suh.
Very strong possibility. So over a 50% chance he'll be a Raider?
Yes, because the only other team that's been really rumored out there is the Vikings. And he really hasn't really said anything about the Vikings yet. So that tells me that maybe the Vikings are a little bit further down the road and he wants to pump up a second team.
Yeah.
It does make sense as far as need, as far as want, perks, resources. So that all lines up. Mm-hmm. And he would definitely be the starter. He's a massive man. You see him in that suit, like his shoulders were bulging out of that fucking suit.
He's missed 2 games in his career.
Well, due to injury. He's been suspended for a few.
He's a walking suspension, but due to injury. Like, that's a durable dude.
Yeah, he's a big dude. And he's the kind of guy that can put your defense over the edge. You can have a middle of the road type defense, but you get that a guy like that, you don't have to use 2-3 guys to stop the run or to get more run pressure. You just have him and he can do that for you. So definitely it's a possibility. I don't think we're going to sign him right now. I think we'll probably sign him closer to training camp because I really do think that the Raiders want to see what they have on the field. And I think Ndamukong Suh is not in any type of rush to sign with the team. I think he wants to kind of milk it and play it out and it maximize his value as well. So I don't see anything happening right away, but I do see something happening right around maybe the beginning, if not the first week of training camp.
So first off, working in TV, especially on desk shows like NFL Live for the last half decade or more, let me tell you that this wasn't just a gentle toss that Sue never saw coming, right? Like there are production meetings and emails and pre-show meetings and, discussions off air. Like this wasn't just like, oh, hey, I have a crazy idea. What do you think off the cuff, Ndamukong? So it wasn't that. It was brought up like this. And Ndamukong Suh is the definition of a mercenary. He should be in a NFL museum of mercenaries. Who's paying me the most? I'm going there, right? It's not like scheme or coaching relationship or teammates or how do I like the city. Like, doesn't give a shit, right? Ndamukong Suh does not care. And for those people out there that say like, well, yeah, like money always talks. It's like, think about your job, right? Whatever job you may have, carpenter, truck driver, lawyer, bearded lady, whatever you're doing, right? Money is obviously a very large part of where you decide where you're going to work, what you're going to do for a living, and what job you're going to have.
Yeah.
But is it always the only thing? Like if you get paid 10% less, but your commute is 10 minutes instead of an hour, it's a tough decision. If you get paid 10% more, but you have 3 bosses breathing down your neck as opposed to 100% full creative control of what you're doing, you'd make that decision, right? So it's like, yes, obviously, money, giant part of a job choice, not the only thing. Ndamukong Suh, the only thing, right?
Well, I don't know if that's the only thing because you have to take a look at the teams that he's played for. He went from the Rams to the Bucks, and then now the Raiders. These are all teams that are on either the come up or are championship contenders. He's not signing with the fucking Jets. He's not signing with the Jaguars. He's not signing with those guys. He knows that he still has value.
Rebuilding teams have no use for him. Rebuilding teams aren't going to pay him $9 million like Tampa did.
He's not looking to go to even a middle of the road. Maybe we can make the playoffs, maybe not type of team. He wants to go to a team that's okay. This team can do some shit. And I could put them over the edge because he wants to win, but he also knows he's going to get paid wherever he goes.
If the Texans paid him the most, offered the biggest
contract, you can't say that because it hasn't happened. What are the last? Let's say he goes to the Raiders. What are the last 3 teams he's been on? Championship contender teams
that were willing to pay 1-year deals to go over the top and win a championship.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
so he wants to be that last piece to a championship team because he knows his value. He's still going to get paid. He
wants to be the last piece to a championship team because that's where the most money is.
Exactly. So you're saying money is the only thing. It's not just the only thing. Is he also wants to win.
I don't think he cares. He's been getting the most out of these 1-year deals.
All you want, but you can't ignore the fact that he's going to teams that are winners.
You can't ignore the fact he's going to the teams that paid him the most.
I'm not ignoring that fact. You're ignoring the fact that he's going to teams that are winners.
I'm telling you why he's going to teams that are winners because he's the one that he puts them over the edge. Those are the people that'll pay him because it's all 1 year to 1 year to 1 year to 1 year.
Okay, so your point is the only point that matters, and the fact that I'm saying is he wants to go to winners because he knows wherever he goes, he's going to get paid because that's his value.
Don't be a crybaby.
I'm not being a crybaby.
One that matters.
No, that's what you're saying basically.
For me, I'm Soto.
No. Okay,
I'm saying the chicken before the egg, not the egg before the chicken. I'm saying the reason why he's going to these championship teams is because they'll pay more for 1-year deals to push him over the edge.
He can get paid anywhere because that's his value. He can go anywhere and get paid because that's what his value is. He doesn't have to sign now. He doesn't have to.
The Houston Texans give him $9 million in a 1-year contract.
That's not the issue. The point is
you're saying you're saying he get paid that much anywhere. I'm saying
anywhere that will pay him, yes.
And I'm saying the only places that he'll get the most on 1-year deals, which is where he's at his age, are championship type teams that need to get over the top. That's what I'm saying. And it's also teams that basically have no salary cap, right? Like the Rams, the Bucks, teams that are just like, where's the salary cap? Where is it? Like, is it under here? Is it over here? Like, is it in here somewhere? Like, I heard there's a salary cap, but in LA I can't find it. Like, that's why he's going there. He's the owners with the deepest pockets. Anyway,
yeah, he's looking for the right situation because he knows wherever he goes, he's going to get paid what he's worth.
Anyway, the other part of this, he said he talked to Maxx Crosby and Chandler Jones. Yeah. Now, this is the big question I have. Did Maxx Crosby and Chandler Jones reach out to him, or did he reach out to Maxx Crosby and Chandler Jones? Because there is a miles difference between what those two things mean. Do you agree?
I think if you want to look at it that way, like if you're, I'm thinking of it from this perspective. Suh and Chandler Jones have been in the league, and they've been like elite players in the league for a long time. Players in the league who have been in the league for, because a lot of guys don't stick around. So guys that are elite players that get
Most guys don't stick around.
Yeah, when you get that big second contract, that's like the big like separator is the big second deal. If you're one of those guys and you've been in the league a while, you're always texting each other. You're in big text change, you're in side text change, you're in a bunch of different things. So if Chandler wants to pull Max in on a text chain with Ndamukong Suh because of whatever, I think honestly it's Suh trying to pump up his value to get another team, because I don't think there's another team out there that makes more sense than the Raiders.
That's all I think it is, which is why I'm looking at this with a skeptical eye. I think it's like, look, and there's like the best way to get the most money is to have the most people want your services, right?
Yeah.
The more people bidding for you, the more money you'll get, right? Basic economics. And so it's like two polar opposites. It's either a ton of teams or two that really need you. Like if you have those two, it's like, okay, you go back, or you have a ton, and either one of those is probably the best thing. The thing that I feel is the Raiders make the most sense, right? So he's trying to like maybe pump it up a little bit more than it just makes sense, right? They have the cap space, they have the need, whatever, the new defense. I think he's just trying to pump up his value or his connection a little bit more to maybe get another team that he's been talking to raise it a little bit, just to kind of see if he can pump up the price a little bit. I don't think he has. I don't think he's more interested in the Raiders than any other team. I think he's just trying to pump up the general value.
Yeah,
right?
just pump up the value.
Like if you're looking for
value,
if you're like, look, he doesn't have a job. He is an unemployed individual.
He's
right?
fun employed. He's a millionaire. He's fun employed.
He's fun employed. He's got investments, I'm sure, that are paying him. But he's an unemployed professional athlete.
Yep.
And when you're an unemployed professional athlete, you don't say, "Hey, would you be interested in this job?" You always say, "Yes, I would be interested," because you want as many people as possible to think a lot of people are interested in you. Again, to raise your value. So the idea that he says, someone offered him, "Hey, what'd you think about playing in the Raiders?" Like, "Oh, playing for the Raiders would be fun." See, he wants to be on the Raiders. He's diehard. He bleeds silver and black. Someone cut his arm. You'll see silver and black pour out of it. Like, no, he's just trying to pump up his. I'm not saying he won't sign with the Raiders. I'm just saying the brake pedal's on the left for this whole like, let's start jerking each other off. And Ndamukong Suh, let's get him a jersey now.
Yeah, on a little bit more positive note, I think he will bleed silver and black as long as he's contractually obligated to. He will give you everything he has if you're paying him.
It's a $500,000 training camp bonus if you can get your blood to be silver and black.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So you say a greater than 50% chance he becomes a Raider?
I think so, because I don't think there's another team that makes more sense.
Bold take. Okay. I think it's less than 50. I think it's actually pretty low, just because I think there's way more positions of need that we have. Like there's still decent right tackles in the free agency market. Like better than Brandon Parker, right? There's still good, pretty good right tackles out there. Still some pretty good DBs out there. Like there's still depth out there that we haven't moved on for one reason or another. And
I don't know that there's an impact player like Ndamukong Suh that can impact your defense or impact your team at a position of need than Ndamukong Suh. I don't think there's as an impact. The last impact player like this to sign was when Honey Badger signed with the Saints. Mm-hmm. That's when Matthew signed with the Saints. That's like the last real impact player to sign. We have money to sign a right tackle. You don't have to reach up that far. Like the bar is not at that high where you have to spend a ton of money to get a right tackle. There's guys out there, and you can get them. You can sign Suh and a right tackle. They're not going to be as expensive as you think. But I mean, it just makes too much sense, and it's just. I mean, if we're getting back to like old Raider ways, these are the type of guys that we sign for 1-year deals, 2-3 years in a row, and they end up, killing it even at late in their career because they're impact players. We're not asking them to do things that they're not comfortable doing. We're not asking them to do too much. You do the best. You're still elite at doing this. Okay, do this.
He also has a really high probability of getting suspended, which is very Raider of him.
True. Yeah, and he likes his money. So, no state income taxes, something that might appeal to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, either way, man, honestly, it would take a team that is desperate for a player like Ndamukong Suh to overpay to pull him away. Because, of course, if someone offers him more than what the Raiders are offering, he doesn't give a shit. Yeah, I'll go there. If it's a team that's in a similar situation. And the Vikings could be in that similar situation because you don't really know what's going on. Like the Bears are a dumpster fire. They're freaking letting go of all their talent. They're not really pulling any talent in.
Yeah.
The Green Bay is still, they're still a really good squad, but offensively, you have to ask yourself what's going to come of their offense without Devonta Adams and MVS,
That's why the win now teams are the only ones spending that kind of money, which is why Ndamukong Suh is going to the win now teams.
Which is the Vikings are one of those teams that are win now mode. Their defense is getting a little bit older. Their offensive line is getting a little bit older. They have some younger weapons on offense that can still put them over the top, but if you want to have that transitional talent on your defensive line, and Ndamukong Suh is the guy out there right now.
I just don't want him to be a Raider because I don't want to have to learn how to spell his name off the top of my head.
Just call him Suh, S-U-H, done.
Yeah, but if I'm writing about him or tweeting about him or like putting him
copy
in
and paste, bro.
That's what I do. That's just a pain in the ass.
Oh God,
such a pain in the ass.
Fucking first world problems over here. You're fine.
That's why, like even Trevon Moehrig. I was like, I don't want to.
You mean Trevon Moehrig?
Moehrig, yeah. I don't want to have to write about him. I have to spell his name.
Do I
add the apostrophe? Sometimes the apostrophe's there. Sometimes it isn't.
It is Moehrig, by the way.
Moehrig. Well, Darren Waller is easy to spell.
C-A-S-H. That's Darren Waller right there. He's cash money.
He's easy to spell. I spell it cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So Darren Waller was on the Rich Eisen Show. Side note, Rich Eisen, probably the biggest Raider fan in media, in like big mainstream media, like NBC. Yeah. Always gives the Raiders love.
And it's weird.
And we love him back. Yeah.
Should be a Lions guy, but he loves the Raiders.
He sees quality when he knows quality when he sees it. So when Darren Waller was on the Rich Eisen Show, talked about a bunch of things. Talked about Devonta Adams and the offense and stuff like that. But Eisen asked him how Josh McDaniels plans on moving Waller around, which is an interesting question because it's a very specific question. But Eisen's a veteran interviewer. This is what is his answer to his question. Rich Eisen's like, where is Josh McDaniels going to move you around, and how is he going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really everywhere. I got to be on the P's and Q's as far as the book is concerned because it's inside, outside, single, by yourself, in a trips formation. So it's like pretty much everywhere. I'm excited about the challenge that it presents because, it makes it harder for people to really know where you're going to be at.
So he's diversifying your game in a way that it has not been in your tenure there in Vegas. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're bringing new things to the table for sure. I've done a lot of things under Coach Gruden, and I feel like that's been very helpful. And they're asking us to do even more things, so it's just adding more to the bag and gives us more opportunities to get open when defenses are going to be looking for you.
Notice how he didn't take the bait. Eisen's like, oh, so he's utilizing you in ways that you haven't been utilized before in the NFL, knowing he's only really had one head coach.
Yeah.
And Waller didn't take the bait. Waller's too good of a guy. He's like, no, Gruden made me really good and made me do a lot of stuff, and then McDaniels is going to add more stuff to it.
Yeah. Because we've seen it before. We've seen him do it. Gronk is a special player. He's a special athlete and a special player. He was put in positions to make plays like he did because of the offense of Josh McDaniels. So he's going to do that. That's just his offense. You saw last year they had Smith and Hunter Henry, and he moved them around all over the place, and neither one of those guys could touch Waller skill-wise. Mm-hmm. And they had decent seasons. So, I mean, I really do think that what did I say a lot of times? Dude, if you need to get a first down, if you need to get something, why don't you just put Trips on one side, Waller by himself on the other, and have him go one-on-one? Because you can't double him in that instance. Like, you have to go one-on-one with Darren Waller and either a slower DB, or I'm sorry, a smaller DB or a slower linebacker. Like, he's gonna do that a lot. They did
Good
it with
luck,
Gronk.
5'7" corner covering Darren Waller.
They did that with Gronk, and Gronk is not nearly as fast as Waller is.
So that's the question, is like, as much as like, and Jon Gruden obviously took a lot of crap and had his deficiencies, but he deserves credit where credit's due, finding Darren Waller and helping make him a superstar, right? Like, that was under Gruden's watch where that happened, and credit to him.
And he really solidified his move to tight end too. He was still kind of that tweener wide receiver tight end kind of guy when he was with the Ravens, because he was in their practice team and just kind of doing whatever, doing wide receiver stuff and tight end. Like, he just said, no, you're a fucking tight end.
And then, so this is the question: did Gruden underutilize Darren Waller? Because we know that Jon Gruden has his offense, his style, and you cater to him. Like, this is my cookie cutter. You're going to be the dough, and we're going to use this. That's it. Josh McDaniels is opposite. Like, we're going to change based on the defense and the team that we're playing, and we're going to change based on our personnel. Now he has what he wants, right? He wants certain types of players, obviously. Like, he likes certain types of players, but generally he knows how to scheme to play to their strengths.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Darren Waller's best days are ahead of him under Josh McDaniels, even though now he's going to be sharing snaps with Devontae Adams, and now that everyone knows Hunter Renfrow is a Pro Bowler.
I think that, yes, Gruden did not use Waller to his full capabilities, especially in the red zone. What have we said? What did I just say? Get him isolated out wide. How often did they do that? How often? It's like, okay, well, I don't have a play that does that. Who gives a shit? Draw it on your fucking hand and say, this is what you guys got to do right now. And
Gruden, take one of those bar napkins at Hooters, grab a pen from one of the chicks with double D's,
Outback,
and make it happen.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, Gruden doesn't do that. It's like, okay, well, this is the closest thing that I have in my playbook to doing what you're just asking me to do. This is the closest thing that I have. And it's like, wait a second, why can't you just do this? You know, and that's something that Josh McDaniels will do. He will make up new schemes and make up new plays week to week to take advantage of things that he's seen on the opposing defenses. And I don't know that if you're not taking your foot off the gas pedal in the red zone, I don't know that you not take at least one shot into the end zone to Waller. You have to at least, if you have one of the biggest mismatches in the NFL, you got to throw them at least one time every trip into the red, at least once. And Gruden really wasn't really big on scheming things that went into the end zone. Like, the pass was caught, end zone, done. It was like caught, run, get into the end zone. That's a lot of what he did. So I mean, we both think that he took his foot off the pedal. Oh, I got 3. I don't want to fuck this up. If I get 3, then I'm good. If I get 7, better. But if I get 3, I'm fine. And that's not how Josh McDaniels feels. It's we shouldn't. I
don't think that's how Jon Gruden thought. I thought he was so predictable that we ended up just getting 3 all the time. It's like, oh, we're red zone. Here's the 10 plays we run. And the defensive coordinator knows it. And so, like, all right, I guess we're getting a field goal.
That's what I'm saying is you're taking your foot off the gas. Like, okay, well, everyone knows what I'm running, but I'm going to run it anyway. It's like, okay, well, it works sometimes it doesn't. And it takes individual efforts like Hunter Renfrow shaking. Like, the fucking play isn't lined up for him to fucking, like, it isn't, the play isn't like, okay, go here. And it goes this 17 times to get open and then run into the end zone. That's fucking Hunter Renfrow on his own doing that shit.
Like, if Brian Edwards was lined up there, it wouldn't be the same route. You know what I mean? It's not like that's not on the route tree. It's just Renfrow being Renfrow, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's part of it. So, like, yes, I think as much as Jon Gruden, I think Darren Waller was absolutely correct in when he answered Eisen's question of yeah, I think they're going to maximize me and do different things with me. I did a lot of great things under Jon Gruden, and I think they're just going to add on top of that. I think Gruden did a good job of kind of building the fundamentals of Darren Waller and kind of like positioning him to succeed in general. And then Josh McDaniels is the one that kind of like rounds out the edges nicely, like gives the fine, minute details, you know, not broaden the playbook because Gruden had a pretty big playbook, just not in the red zone, but just kind of like detailing the fundamentals that Gruden instilled in Waller.
Broadening his responsibilities, I think, is what it's going to happen now. Because Gruden does have a big playbook, but how many different routes did Waller actually run? It was, you know, the same route, just different from different areas. It's lined up a little bit different, but honestly, it's the same shit. You know, I think it's going to be a lot different.
It was a lot of choice routes too, where it's kind of like, all right, like you're running one of 3 routes based on what the defense is giving you, right? Which is technically it's the same route, but you're playing against the defense, right? Which is the same as Josh McDaniels, right? Like Josh McDaniels has a lot of choice routes, which is why I think Waller and Renfrow are just going to freaking flourish under a system, not just because slot receivers and tight ends do well under Josh McDaniels, but very specifically, Renfrow and Waller are very smart and very good at choice routes.
Mm-hmm. I also think that running all those choice routes is going to help on a very, like one of the favorite plays that that Gronk and Brady ran in New England was Gronk running that wheel route.
Yep.
And if you have a faster, quicker Waller running that route, it was set up beautifully too. It was set up with the outs and then a slant on top of it. So it's like, okay, they're clearing out for him to go into the flat. And he figured just, you know, Gronk turned up and was able to get huge chunks of yardage. So I see those concepts being brought over and I don't know the last time I saw Waller run a wheel route.
It's been a while.
A little while.
I remember him getting a touchdown on one, which only like proves your point more. It's like, yeah, when he rarely did, it was massively successful.
Yeah, massively successful because he's just such a super athlete, you know.
Yeah.
And you set it up properly with you know the route concept. Okay, yeah, it's gonna work.
So another Raider player, former Raider.
Hey, he's once a Raider, always a Raider.
Once a Raider, always a Raider. We'll take him. Super Bowl champ with Gruden, but not obviously as a Raider. Warren Sapp. He was on a podcast and he was asked a bunch of stuff, but he was asked very specifically about Jon Gruden, where the 2 years that he was in Tampa is when he won a Super Bowl with Jon Gruden.
Uh-huh.
And he was asked about, you know, the shit that Jon Gruden's in, getting fired because of the emails on the shitty things that he said. And Warren Sapp responded in the most Warren Sapp way, where it's poignant and thoughtful in a weird way.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense. I'll let you be the judge of that.
Okay.
He was asked about the Jon Gruden emails and stuff. Take a listen.
Gruden used a racist stereotype to describe NFLPA Executive Director DeMaurice Smith, saying DeMaurice Smith has lips the size of Michelin tires.
That's racist? If he said, when I walk in my locker room, it looks like I got a bunch of DeMaurice Smiths in there by the mouth, that would be a racial trope. But to say DeMaurice Smith got big lips, yeah, DeMaurice Smith got big lips, just like Barack Obama got big ears. We've been calling Big Lip Johnny for the last 40 years. I bet this is the first time in DeMaurice Smith's life somebody called him big lips, he said it was racist. The rest of that is way out of line, across the board. But you're not going to call my head coach a racist. I sat in front of him for 2 years, and I'm a child of the South. I was raised in Florida. There's no way a fire-breathing racist would be in front of me or on my speed dial, and we haven't had a real discussion about your tendencies to not see the black man on your level. There's no way Jon Gruden's that.
No way Jon Gruden's racist.
That is the most you answer ever. I called DeMaurice big lip because he got big lips.
He's got big lips. Barack Obama got big ears. He was probably going to go on and say, RJ Clifford's got a big dick. Yeah, we just talk about these stereotypes constantly.
That's why we call a tall guy tiny, right? No, yeah. is that Big Lip Johnny?
Yes, Big Lip Johnny.
That's the first time he's heard that he had big lips. He thought it was racist. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. I mean, I'm not saying that he's wrong. I mean, if you take the comedy out of it, I can see where he's coming from, and I can't disagree with it. It's a different point of view, maybe not the one that I hold, but it is. I mean, I think the temperature of the conversation in which Gruden said that through email was making it racist.
I'm not going to get into like whether it's racist or not. Like I'm not going to tell a black man, Warren Sapp, that a guy that you know better than me is or isn't racist. Like I don't even care. Truly, I just love how it just reminded me how this is one of the very first times in the media, a high profile person who knows all parties involved, the person who sent the email, the person who received the email, the person the email was about, wasn't somebody who had a paycheck that needed to stay on the right side, if that makes sense. Because we know, like, he was on NFL Live and he got fired because he got caught with those hookers. Remember at the Super Bowl years ago, right? So he's kind of just out there, right?
Really a crime?
No, not at all. But that's what got him canned, right?
Keyshawn Johnson said, "Thank you."
Yeah. And so that's my point. Is this is the first time a very high profile person who knows all the parties involved can just kind of say, no, it's not racist. I know the guy. I know both guys, right? He's got big lips. This is the first time he's ever been called that. Like, it's been a running joke. And this is the first time that he said, like, blah, blah, blah. Because every time you hear someone on television talk about the situation, they're buttoned up. They're very serious because they don't want to say the wrong thing.
It's a serious matter. I'll make sure that I convey how serious this matter is.
I have shoved this stick 3 inches higher up my ass because it is such a very important situation.
And this a couple of drinks, JR.
Right? Well, and this is like a type of guy. It's just like a guy that knows the situation at the bar when the cameras aren't on. I feel like that's the answer I would get from Sapp, as opposed to every other person on television that are just, clutch their pearls. I'm absolutely appalled. And I'm sure most of them are. But there's ones that aren't, and he knows all parties involved. And it's just unique to me that, like, that's an answer you get from someone without an ulterior motive in the situation.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think most of the time people are like clutching their pearls because they feel like that's the right thing to do. They feel like that's how they should react.
The safe move.
Yeah, and I think that because they're over the top about it, they want to make sure without a shadow of a doubt that they're separating themselves from the offender. I sometimes say things that offend people.
No.
Yes, but
stop it.
I only say those things to people.
Hold on, I'm fainting.
I know, right? I only say those things, and I say it to their face. I don't say that to like behind their backs and shit. I say that to people who know me, who know my character, and who know where I'm coming from when I say shit like that. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's, I'm not taking offense to it because either he's fucking with me and I can fuck with him back, or, whatever. I say some shit all the time. And I think where Gruden got caught up more than anything was, it was behind someone's back, and it could be heavily construed. It wasn't a long reach or a strong reach to make it racist or to think that it was racist. And you can pile on all that misogynistic stuff that, I mean, there's no way to misconstrue that.
And that's and I edited it out for time, but like, and that's what Warren Sapp was saying too, is like the whole Michael Sam stuff and the other stuff, like that's out of line, but that's another issue. Like, you asked me about the racism, and I'm not saying it's that. All the other stuff, we can have that conversation, but you specifically racist? He's like, I'm telling you, Jon Gruden's not racist, which is, it's always interesting too, because like he knows Jon Gruden better than 99% of the people that are talking about in the public that are talking about Jon Gruden and calling him racist. But I also don't buy, because his excuse was, hey, I'm from the South, and if he would have done something racist, we would have had words and I would have known about it. It's like, well,
Gruden also know you're from the South too.
Well, also, like, I'm a white guy, and when I'm around white guys, certain white guys talk different, right? Like, if you're around a black guy, like certain guys, if you're around black guys, Mexican guys, whatever, gay guys, anyone different, behave a little different. When you
I know
feel
you
like
do.
when you're in a safe space, when you feel like you're in a safe space, sometimes stuff comes out. And that was Jon Gruden. He thought he was in a private email with one person. He thought he was in a safe space, but he wasn't. So it's I like Sapp. Sapp's, it feels like true honesty out of Sapp.
Oh yeah,
And
he's from the heart.
I want his input, and it will alter how I view the situation a little bit, because that's more information I get about the situation, I think about it. But I also know that he's never been a white guy around other white guys, and I know that some things come out of people when they feel like they're in a safe space.
I want to pivot really quick before we get to the next one, because I want to get to the next thing too. But I don't know if we would have a chance to talk about this, but your boy and mine, well, not mine, maybe yours, Daniel Snyder got subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee. He was invited to answer questions multiple times, and he declined every single time. So now he's subpoenaed.
His name tag was there at the empty chair. I always love that.
Didn't show up. He's subpoenaed, so he has to come in, and he's going to be deposed. So when you're deposed about certain things, they can ask you anything. They can ask you pretty much anything, and you don't have to answer certain things. Of course,
you can always claim that you can claim the fifth and not answer anything.
But if you claim the fifth on certain questions, that leaves open the interpretation that you were either complicit, you were an active participant in some wrongdoing. And if there was an investigation already underway, like hiding emails and suppressing information from the NFL, I mean, that could lead into, we talk about Jon Gruden's lawsuit against Roger Goodell. If he's, if I was Daniel Snyder and I didn't do anything wrong, and I knew that there was a lot of shit in those emails that wasn't released, and I wasn't going to be implicated in anything, I would be singing like a bird, because I don't want to be fucking put any of this fucking trial shit.
It's weird power dynamic, and like who's going to be left holding the shit when the music stops?
All Goodell, man. It's all Goodell now.
Well, look,
it's not Snyder, because Snyder had he gave up all the emails were out there. So he's not like, unless he's heavily involved in a lot of the fucked up shit. I mean, there's those email things are going to be on Goodell.
I think it's pretty safe to assume he is heavily involved in a lot of fucked up shit.
Well, I think the fucked up shit that's going to be really most pressing to the NFL right now is him hiding the money.
That's all the NFL cares about.
Yeah, that's all they care about.
Like the NFL doesn't give a shit about what they did to the cheerleaders, what they did in the workplace, how they treated women. They don't give a shit.
But as far
as
fuck
with their
goes,
money, as soon as you mess with their money, then it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
But this whole Gruden like hand grenade that's randomly lobbed into this situation, right? So like, let's say Roger Goodell like plays hardball with Snyder. Let's say Roger Goodell's like, all right, I'm cutting you loose. I'm going to actively try to get you to, I'm actually going to try to force you to sell this team. I'm going to have you lay on this grenade. Snyder always has Jon Gruden in his back pocket. It's like, all right, Gruden's attorney, here's 87 emails that we think you'd be interested in.
That Roger Goodell and the NFL knew that were
actively withheld, actively knew about. I'm sure the lawyers will come with much better terms than we can.
It's definitely going to be a weird struggle of who's gonna blink first.
It's and you know what? You know has nothing to lose and everything to gain in this.
Jon Gruden.
he's got nothing to lose. He's like, all right, I'm already a pariah. Like I've already been fired. I already got my punishment. What else? Like, and I'm the only one that didn't do anything illegal. I was shitty with emails.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't break any laws. I didn't break policy. I just said really shitty things about people.
Yeah.
So he's like the only one that's just kind of like cock of the walk, baby.
This can get bad. This and this is the reason why I put it on there. It could get good like juicy, but it can get bad for good. Goodell could do fucking time, dude. This is crazy. Awesome. If a lot of like illegal activity was fucking discovered in these emails and Gruden suppressed that shit, that's not good. I mean, Goodell.
The son of a senator cakewalk through life, gets the greatest gig, $50 million a year to be NFL commissioner, and he finds a way to just fuck it up.
Shit all over it. Oh, crazy.
Ready to do some what a Windbags?
Yeah, why not?
Boom. I was waiting for you to say yes before I hit the lower third.
Okay.
Jeff Garrison. Morig is pronounced Marriage.
I told you.
Is a star in Graham's defense. I'm telling you, don't ever go to me for player pronunciations.
I've been telling you this forever. It's
yeah, I'm gonna forget it. I still every now and then get Jonathan Abram and Abrams. I still to this day.
Just this show, you said McDaniel instead of McDaniels.
Yeah. At least I caught myself this one time, right?
Yeah.
That's why, like in the tags of all the videos, I put Josh McDaniel and Josh McDaniels because I know how many RJs there are out there.
Jesus.
I forget that it's not plural Josh there's not multiple Josh McDaniels, there's just an S on his name. Which is also why I don't want Ndamukong Suh to come on the Raiders,
what?
To become on for multiple reasons, but mostly because I don't want to have to be able to pronounce his name correctly each and every time out. And that's how I look at things.
Just say House of Spears Sue. That's what everyone says anyway.
A boy named Ndamukong Suh. Machiavelli Raider. This is going to be the best offense since the Rich Gannon days. Carr, Adams, Waller, Renfro, Morrow, Jacobs, and company. On top of McDaniels calling plays, this offense is going to be a nightmare for defenses. I don't feel like that's too crazy of a hot take to say it's the best offense since Rich Gannon. The best offense since Rich Gannon currently is that 2016 team, with Carr and Crabtree and Cooper and pretty good run game as well. And that crazy O-line, that multiple Pro Bowlers on the O-line.
Assembly, Hudson, Penn.
Yep.
Jackson.
That to me is the real question, right? Like you have that multiple Pro Bowlers O-line from 2016, the on paper everyone's trash but Colton Miller coming up in 2022. That's going to be
the big one.
That's going to be the different. That's going to be the gauge of whether this offense can be at 26 can surpass 2016 levels. I can't imagine a world where this offense is bad unless just, I don't know, Carr gets hurt, fight in their locker room. McDaniels
injuries,
goes back to like Denver Broncos head coach mode. Like, I can't imagine a world where this offense just is bad. I don't know. You tell me, will this offense be better or worse than 2016 offense?
Better. You have a better offensive play caller right now. I think
that's still up for debate. That still needs to be proven that Josh McDaniels is a head coach play caller. Out of this, just Josh McDaniels outside of the Patriots is good at his job. That's still yet to be proven. That's why, like, again, cautiously optimistic that Josh McDaniels has figured everything out. But again, all the evidence, all the history, all the data, Josh McDaniels out of New England, schlep.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. We all know that Belichick is not going to spend money that he doesn't need to. And Josh McDaniels was the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. So he gave him that money for a reason.
So I'll say this. The reason was he was getting head coaching opportunities left and right? Like, when did he become the highest paid offensive coordinator in football? When the Colts essentially signed him and he was on a plane on the way to Indiana. Okay. So fair, right? Like, Bill Belichick thinks he's very good and worth the money, so that matters. Mm-hmm. But it's not always the best guy's paid the most. It's the guy with the most leverage, the guy with the most offers. And we know that almost every single franchise is taking a stab at the Bill Belichick coaching tree because of the success that they've had. So I think, just again, and it all kind of circles back to the same conversation. Like, being under Belichick comes with all these perks, right? Can you succeed without all those perks, with just the knowledge you learned there, without being under that umbrella?
I think it's more of a similar situation to, like, we talked about Waller's contract and when he should sign and stuff. If you look at George Kittle, it's very similar. a lot of guys, a lot of top tight ends have been paid after George Kittle, and they haven't surpassed George Kittle's money. A lot of good offensive coordinators have been paid after McDaniels got paid, and they haven't been paid more than him because he's that much better than the other guys.
Or is it because they weren't on planes to be head coaches and Belichick didn't want to get caught with his pants down? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm just saying it's one of those two, right? Is it because he's that good and he got the money, or because of his situation he had the leverage to be able to demand that money? Like I think like Jon Gruden, think like Jon Gruden, right? $100 million 10-year deal, right? This crazy contract. That's not because other coaches are worth that much or he's so good he's worth that much. It's because Mark Davis was negotiating. No, well, that's to be debated, but because Mark Davis was negotiating against TV money. He was negotiating against ESPN that wanted to give him $9, $10, $11 million. That's why he had to give him this big contract. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Where it's like, Bill Belichick's like, dude, we can't do it without Josh. He's that good. He's that smart. We're opening up the piggy bank. Hey, Rob, Mr. Kraft, I need an extra $4 million.
Let me ask you this. What did the Patriots have offensively last year?
2 decent tight ends, a rookie quarterback, 2 decent tight ends.
They were
Nelson,
right
an
there
overpriced
with us.
Nelson Aguilar.
Let's take a look at the offensive rankings last year. I'm telling
No. I'm not gonna. Again, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying he did it under the Patriot umbrella, which is my point. I'm not no part of me is denying his success with the Patriots as offensive coordinator.
I just think that
Zero
you're
part of
just
me is
trying to
arguing
hedge your bet on Josh McDaniels just so you don't have to say, "Oh, I was wrong."
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to be honest, and yes, my ass hurts from sitting on the fence for so long. Like it truly does. Like I'm being totally honest. I just yes, he's had immense success in the easiest place to have success in, New England.
Yeah, Patriots. They were 6th in the league in points.
Yeah, again, you'll never hear me argue his offensive success with the Patriots.
It's
inarguable.
With pretty much
not a lot.
Nothing offensively.
But he was under the Patriot umbrella.
What does that mean? I mean, you still have to. You're
Look
the
at
offensive coach.
No other coach has had success outside of New England that has been under New England. That's my point.
What do you
look at the history?
Construe as success, because
keeping their job. Look at the history.
Vrabel's in Tennessee, and he was a top-ranked team in the AFC last year.
Okay, so I would say Vrabel's the most successful, but look at the other 6 or 7. Right? There's none of them have found success, and that's because and to me that's telling me that these specific coaches aren't the reason these teams are succeeding. It's Kraft, Belichick, Brady, the Patriot way,
all right,
etc.
Let me ask you this then. Let's look at it from this perspective. How many coaches, their first time around as head coach, are successful right away?
I don't know the number.
How much? But what would you? The general sense? What would you think? Normally, first-time coaches aren't a smashing success right away. Normally, you take a coach, and this is what happened with the Patriots.
I stood up because I'm sweating because of this conversation.
My fucking ass is wet right now. When because
you're shitting your pants because my conversation.
Yes. When you look at the Patriot coaches, they leave a good situation. They're winning games. They're respected. They're they're able to have a good environment, like you said. They try to do something else, and they're not successful, and they come right back. You don't see very many ex-Patriot coaches that try to head coaching get a second chance right away, or get a second chance at all. Really, Josh McDaniels has that second chance, so you really get, and that's like a lot of head coaches in general. You don't see a lot of those guys going. Look at Dennis Allen. How many years ago was he a head coach for the Raiders? It's like there's a big gap. So we'll see now that he has a second chance. Is it just a Bill Belichick thing, or is it just a first-time head coach not doing well and then learning and then getting a second opportunity to do so?
History, purely history and numbers and data, say that Josh
those numbers you do know, but the other number of how many first-time head coaches,
because I know Josh McDaniels' history. I know his history. I don't know every single off the top of my head previous coordinator.
That's
unacceptable,
JR. Unacceptable. You have to know.
You're gonna have to
off the top
accept
of
it.
your head.
You're gonna have to accept it. That's what it is.
Accepting.
And it sounds like I'm riding the fence, and maybe I am, but it's the truth. Like, it's the honest truth. Cautiously optimistic, but like the reasons you're giving me for Josh McDaniels to succeed, that's been proven false before, right? Like it's been proven false before. Macabro Johnson, he's talking about. He's responding to a Darren Waller video. Pay him before they win, because after they win the Super Bowl, we're screwed. So he's basically insinuating that if he's a Super Bowl winning tight end, we're going to have to pay him a king's ransom, and probably some other players who have contracts coming up because they're going to want to keep together this championship team.
There's still market value. There's still something out there to be said for market value.
Bingo.
And it's like I said before, there have been top tight ends getting paid after George Kittle who did not reach George Kittle's number. That's the number. That number has not moved and will not move because he still has 3 years left on that deal. That deal is locked in stone right now. So you can sign Waller now or after next season. It's not going to change the value of that deal because the top deal is still there.
I think that's the majority of it. I think that's the majority of the contract, just discussions, right? That's like 80% of it. But I think there's a little bit. I don't think he's wrong in that if he's a Super Bowl winning, tight end off of a Pro Bowl, they want to keep the team together. That's something an agent's going to leverage, right? Like, hey, you're gonna tear this team apart. This offense was amazing. This trifecta of Renfro, Waller, and Adams. Like, Adams and Renfro aren't going to play as well without Waller. Blah blah blah. Like, I think that's still part of the conversation, but I don't think it's the majority of the conversation.
Yeah, because look, there's just two different arguments depending on how the team does. If Waller does well, regardless, okay, hey, he's up, he's the best in the NFL, arguably the best in the NFL. He needs to be paid $15 million and $1. He needs to be paid more than whatever that $1 is. If it's $1, if it's another $500,000 or whatever. The argument now,
George Kittle contract plus a burrito
plus X, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they win the Super Bowl, it's your argument of you don't want to break this up. So the Raiders will go, okay, we'll give him $15 million plus X. It's the same result. It's the same result. So I think they're still going to pay him more per year, maybe not as many years, but more per year than George Kittle's get paid. Just because it's just the right thing to do, because that's the next big guy up. And the next big guy after that, I don't think Kelsey's going to sign another big contract because he's getting a little bit older. I think it's going to be Kyle Pitts. That's going to be the next big money guy to get signed tight end wise. But whether if Waller does ball out like we think he will, whether they win or not, I think the number is going to be pretty much the same. Very similar.
The irony being, let's say the Raiders do win the Super Bowl next season, right? The players that I think wouldn't put the Raiders' feet to the fire for more money to keep the team together because they're like, they're kind of team players, and it's like, I'm going to get paid what I'm worth, but I'm not going to put your feet to the fire.
Get greedy, yeah.
Are all the players that have already been paid, that have already gotten extensions. Crosby,
I mean, honestly,
Carr,
we don't know that about
Renfro.
Waller. We don't know about Waller. I mean, you can think, but I mean, he's still playing. He's not bitching. He's being the company guy. Hey, I'm still under contract. I'll let everything work out the way it is. I mean,
well, the other guys have already proven that they're not that. Waller's actions and his play have proven it, but it's when like actual contracts are up, how does his agent handle it? That's I think a slightly different conversation.
Well, we'll find out after the season. Then, if he's not signed, we'll find out how he reacts after the season.
Yeah. So either way, Macabro Johnson, we're not paying Waller till after next season. Or I hope if we don't, if we do, it's going to be stupid. Like, don't pay Waller till after next season. It's just the way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of the Autumn Windbags. Covered a lot of random stuff.
A lot of shit today.
We're gonna start doing some guests again, just because I get sick of talking to Soto.
We found people that we haven't pissed off yet.
Right? we scoured through the couch cushions and found actually some carbon-based life forms that are still down to talk with us. We're joking. I think every single person we've had on, I think, would come back. There was one or two where they like stopped answering my calls, but basically everybody else.
Who stopped answering your calls? Let it be known.
Not stop. That's unfair. That's very unfair. I asked one previous guest to come back on, and he took a couple days to get back to me. He's like, "Hey, sorry, I'm super busy, can't do it." And I was like, "Well, how about another day, or how about a different time?" And then he just like didn't respond.
Bitch.
Which I kind of understand. But fuck him. Until next time. Knock on wood if you're with me. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Maxx Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.